What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Geeks Got Game, first remote edition of Geeks Got Game. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me, as always, my partners in crime, Jeff Pavlak and
What's up,
Mr.
guys?
John Fick.
Howdy.
So, the beauty of this setup, as we're all recording remotely in our our home studios, is that we can react to news a little bit faster than we would have normally. So we're going to try this out for a bit and see how it goes. But we had a surprise drop today in the form of a Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo Direct Mini, they called it.
That's right. So this is kind of a Geeks Got Game Mini in a way. We'll go through and talk really just about all the announcements that we saw today and react to them. First and foremost, guys, what did you think overall of what we saw in little under a half hour?
It's not a lot that caught my eye. I gotta be honest. There's very little that I'm interested in from there, but I mean, I'm not holding anything against Nintendo.
Yeah, I think they properly labeled it as a Direct Mini. I didn't feel like there was any bangers. Like, it wasn't, it's not a Direct I'm gonna remember for a while, but there's a lot of just really solid stuff. Just fill in the back catalog of third party stuff that us as a Switch community, we always say, oh, that game would be perfect on the Switch. That would be perfect on the Switch. And we got a couple of those today, so that's what my biggest takeaway is. They're just filling some of the back catalog.
I completely understand why they didn't promote it. Like, usually they give the public a day's notice when a Direct is coming. I completely understand why they just dropped it this morning without any notice, because any kind of hype that would have been built up for it would have created unrealistic expectations. People are hoping for Breath of the Wild 2 news. Next month is Fire Emblem's 30th anniversary, so people would have been expecting something with that. Something with their holiday title. Yeah, Metroid Prime 4. Yep. The myth that is Bayonetta 3 now. So any of those big ones.
Yeah, so I think even more so than the fact that it didn't promote it is just putting that mini title on there. It wasn't short. I mean, it was a half hour. I mean, there's been proper Directs that have come in around a half hour, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that mini title
There's been some that are shorter than that.
Exactly. So they kind of tried to, first of all, set our expectations by not even giving us a heads up on it. And then that little mini there is all right, this is just we're just peppering some stuff in for you guys.
So I really like this one being how they promoted it, which was not at all.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about it on Facebook, and that's how I found out about it. And right before that, I was looking at my email inbox just for my Geekiverse inbox, and I was flooded with press releases from companies. And I was like, whoa, crazy kind of news day. Because honestly, sometimes it happens. I'll get a ton of emails and they're out of left field. But obviously there was good reason for why I was getting those emails today. So I watched everything over after the fact. I didn't watch as this was live. I thought it had a nice flow to it. I think the first half was way more engaging for me than the second half. I was skipping around like there was no tomorrow towards probably the last 14 minutes or so of this thing. But I know, Jeff, you said there wasn't a ton that interested you. There wasn't, I would say, a ton that I was all about, but I'll tell you this. There's a lot in there that had my interest. We'll kind of go through here just kind of step by step what was announced and what was shown off to us. But Jeff, why don't you lead us off here with the first thing that was shown in the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition?
Yeah, this is a complete remaster of the original game. The graphics have been significantly upgraded from the original Wii release, which if you're talking about Japan, it's now 10 years old. If you're talking about the American release, it's 8 years old. So a long time either way, but they really improved the graphics on this big time. Looks gorgeous. I'm not a big fan of the Xenoblade games. I've never been too into the combat system for them. But if you can enjoy the Xenoblade games, I definitely recommend trying out the original, because it has one of the best overworlds you will ever find in a video game. It's enormous, which was extremely impressive given that the original Wii was definitely lacking as far as hardware power goes. But it's a huge overworld, and it has some of the most amazing environments you'll ever see. Just some of the best high fantasy and science fiction environments you can find. It's super imaginative. It's really cool because the whole concept is that the world is set on these two giant gods that were doing battle with each other. And at some point in the distant past, they kind of came to a stalemate and just, became petrified. So literally the entire world that you're going to explore is set on the bodies of these two gods. All these forests, mountains, cities are literally on the gods. And it's really neat. because at times you can look out into the distance and you'll see like the opposite god looming in the horizon.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a really cool setting and story. I just don't like the combat mechanics of the Xenoblade games. I can't get into them.
Yeah, it's always a series that or a game that I've admired from afar. So I'm glad it's coming to the Switch, and I think I might give it a try. Just the art style and like the setting alone might be enough for me to try to sink some time into it. I'm interested.
Yeah, make sure you have a lot of time to sink into it because they're enormous games, absolutely enormous, and it's going to be the other thing that would keep me away from it. This is releasing May 29th. The first
John,
Pokemon.
You're going to be busy.
I'm going to be a little busy.
Sorry, Jim.
The first Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion is going to be sometime in June. So, I mean, you're talking only about 2, 3, 4 weeks between them. Xenoblade Chronicles is not going to be a game that you beat in a month. Yeah, there's no way.
That also happens to be the same day The Last of Us Part 2 comes out.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. So,
yeah,
it's just...
Yeah, it's amazing how many of these are May 29th here. And I'm like, you guys know what's happening May 29th, right?
Yep.
It's okay. So also Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected is an epilogue. I don't know if you guys, I don't really have much to say on that, but that's also coming up May 29th.
It's brand new. It's a part of the game. It's not, I don't think it's like a DLC pass or anything. It's just a brand new side story that's included in the game once you beat the main story. However, after how many 70 or 80 hours you pour into it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's too much. That's too
and
much.
Really, that's just scratching the surface. I've heard of people dumping 200-300 hours into it and still having stuff to uncover.
I will say I like to see them adding new content to these re-releases. Now, this wasn't just a typical re-release. That looks a lot better. If you look at this game and the way it was on the Wii versus what we saw today, it's a huge graphical upgrade. But it's always good to see more content too, because they're going to put a $60 price tag on this. I think it's already available. I'm just guessing, but I'm sure it's $60. So.
Yeah, because you can pre-order it as of today or pre-purchase, right?
It's coming out soon. And I saw the definitive edition is out too. So they're charging premium for it. I'm glad they put some more content in there.
Yeah, that's a good value add for sure. So next up, we got what was pretty much, I would say, one of my favorite announcements for the Nintendo Direct, and we're getting a bunch of 2K games that are going to be coming to the Switch. John, do you want to take us through what is going to be coming here?
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about when they're kind of just peppering in some of that back catalog that all of us Switch owners are always wanting. So we're getting the Bioshock Collection. So that includes Bioshock 2, Bioshock Infinite, and then both episodes of Burial at Sea. We're getting the Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, I think it's called. Is that what they call it?
They're calling it the Legendary Collection, which it's the same. I'm pretty confident it's the same thing because I don't think it has anything to do with Borderlands 3. It's just 1, 2, and the pre-sequel.
Okay.
Is that,
maybe.
I think that's what it was.
Because actually, maybe the Handsome Collection didn't even have the pre-sequel. The Handsome Collection may have just been 1 and 2, so maybe this actually has that too.
There you go.
That might be it.
Gotta be
I'm not a big Borderlands guy. I might try it for the first time with the Switch release. And then, what was it, XCOM 2 Collection? The XCOM 2 complete suite. So that's, I know people have been wanting that on the handheld, so gotta be cool.
That's a very good game for the Switch.
And I just love that little video package they did where like 2K loves Switch. That was fun. I had a lot of fun with that little segment.
All the icons they put out were totally awesome.
Yeah, it's like
kudos to the team there.
We love stairs. Claptrap doesn't love stairs. It was a really cool fun little banter. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I love that whole part of the presentation. It's funny. Last week I started an article just in drafts in the Geekiverse about games that we would want to see on the Nintendo Switch, primarily third-party games.
Yeah.
First thing I listed, or one of the first things I listed was the Bioshock Collection.
Sure.
And I know we got wind of a new Bioshock game last December, which we covered on Geeks Got Game. And then last episode we were talking about it because I recently just played through it on the Xbox One for the first time. So I'm happy I played it. I would play it again, I'll tell you, on the Switch because, man, that is just it's so perfect. And I think those games in particular, especially with the DLC, having now played that for Infinite, like I'd play through it again on Switch in a heartbeat.
There's this phrase people like to throw around that like, oh, that game would be perfect on the Switch. And for me, that just boils down to every game would be perfect on the Switch because why wouldn't I want the option to play anything on the go? Obviously, I'm going to take a little graphical downgrade. I'm probably playing at 30 FPS, but like I'm playing wherever I want. That's that's my biggest nutshell. Is like, just give me everything on the Switch. I want the full back catalog of all the stuff I've missed. So if I ever decide to go back and play something, I can play it on Switch.
That's where I'm at. It's primarily games I've missed on the past few generations of Nintendo consoles, and a lot of third-party stuff that I never got to. I do own Borderlands, and I played a fair amount of it, but it never really sunk its hooks in me.
Yeah.
I think I would enjoy it much more on the Switch, if only because I can play it on the go.
I can't tell you how many games I own that I never touched that re-released on the Switch and I rebought and played for the first time on the Switch. Like, that's happened. I did that with Cuphead. I did that with Ori and the Blind Forest. I did that with The Witcher. Like, there are games that I've owned for a while and dabbled in when they first came out on the big boy platforms, and now that they're on Switch, I'm just like, I can play this on my couch. Let's do it. Or I mean, like, while I'm watching TV. Of course, I can play anything on my couch, but I can play this while something else is happening.
Exactly. Do we know price points for those just yet?
I'm sure the world does.
I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna say $60
for all of them.
I don't see. Yeah, I don't see them going any cheaper.
I can look that up while we're moving on.
I think that's pretty solid. Next up, we got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. We got an expansion here in the form of Shadow of Doom, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously a lot of Fantastic Four stuff here. I played the game last summer, and I really, really enjoyed it. Probably mostly because I just love everything Marvel these days. But nonetheless, really had a good time with it and thought it was a fun comic-y story that didn't take itself too seriously while it still took influence a little bit from the MCU. And it's a game I'd get back into a little bit, I would say. This one looked fun. When I played it, Fantastic Four was not out yet because they were going to be an expansion in one of the first expansions. But this one looks good. Either of you guys spend any time with this game at all?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah,
I did
here.
not.
That game, honestly, that would be one that you would want to play co-op.
I'm sure.
It's perfectly made for that. It's intended to. You can play it by yourself, and I didn't feel like I was penalized for it. However, if we're able to get a few Joy-Cons together and really sit down and play it, that would be a blast.
Is there a local co-op?
Yes.
That could be a busy stick stream.
Perfect.
I was thinking that exact thought, John.
Could be fun.
Get that thing on busy sticks.
Yep.
Let's see here. Shinsekai Into the Depths. So I thought this looked really good. This is the kind of underwater game and weapon modifications, things of that nature.
This is an Apple Arcade game. This was like one of their debut. Like, look at, we have real games on Apple Arcade. So that's where that first debuted.
I did not know that. I thought it was a brand new game.
Mm-hmm.
And that is out today on Switch.
Yep.
So you can get there right now. I always love that announcement, even if it's not super.
Oh, me too.
I love it. You can play it right now. I think that's the best.
Bring the hype. I love it.
It could be a game I totally hated, and I'd be like, hey, kudos.
Good for them.
Yeah. I think that one looks good. That is one I got an email on.
Cool.
Animal Crossing New Horizons. So you guys could maybe speak to this a little bit better just for the update.
The bunny event. Right? Yeah. So they added they just, there's an update today that kind of fixed a couple of bugs, but I guess it laid the groundwork for the April 1st through April 14th. There's going to be a bunny event, obviously Easter themed. So there's going to be like a little scavenger hunt where you can find eggs. There's going to be exclusive items. That's kind of about it, but it's Animal Crossing. It's all about finding stuff and having cool loot. Super excited.
Speaking of which, my copy is sitting upstairs, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I got to tell you, Lauren was just as excited, if not more, than I was. I sent her the picture. We got it probably about 5:00 today, and she was driving home, and she was all about it. Awesome. I cannot wait to. So after this, that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
Let's see. Good job.
That was fun.
Kind of like
that's a small game
simulator, right?
Yeah, it was a little silly small game. I don't know if that existed before. I'm not sure if that's like a PC port or something like that, but it looked fun enough.
Had shades of like an overcooked game.
Yeah,
just
something like
the flavor there.
Yep.
Ring Fit Adventure. Interesting. Nope, I skipped one. Catherine Full Body.
Oh yeah.
So I played neither of. I think there's only 2 games in that series.
I think there's only one. I think it's just Catherine, and then Full Body is the remastered version.
Oh, that's
correct.
A remaster? I thought it was.
It wasn't a brand new game.
Gotcha. So there's just the one. It's amazing that one has lived on this long, I think.
Yeah, it's a PS3 game. And I know they brought out the full body edition last year, maybe the year before for PlayStation. So it's cool to see them getting the Switch support. Just bring me Persona 5. That's all I want. Just bring it over Atlas. That's all I need. That's why I like this news, because every other Atlas game that comes is just one step closer to Persona 5 on Switch.
So Ring Fit I knew nothing about at all.
Oh yeah?
Some of that kind of looked fun, I gotta say.
I've heard great things about Ring Fit. So everyone I know,
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, so everyone I know in personally and on social media who has picked that game up have been really blown away by it. It's supposed to be a really cool, a lot of fun mini games and a really cool way to stay active for sure.
It's actually a solid exercise game. It's much more in depth than say Wii Fit was. It's much more of a objective style game than Wii Fit was. And from the couple of times that I've played it, it's definitely taxing on you. You have to be in decent shape if you want to have a long play session with it. It'll tire you out.
I really could use some of that right now.
Yeah. With the current situation.
Weather was unbelievable today, so I got out for a very nice long walk with Daisy. But my goodness, I am lots of beer and pizza right now.
Right. Good. I love to see Nintendo attacking that market, though. It's really cool to see that they're kind of committed to giving those options. I saw Gary Whitta was talking on Twitter about how it was great for his daughter to be able to play that. She's been cooped up in the house for a couple weeks, so it's the perfect little game to just get her moving. So cool stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. King's Bounty 2. I don't have much to say on that one, unless you guys do.
Nope, I got nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, same. That was game.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, we're getting another expansion. Is it?
Yeah, no, they have 6 new DLC characters coming over the probably the course of the next year, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And a character from ARMS.
Yep.
DLC character one from ARMS.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah,
you figured it was coming, right? But I'm not even a Smash guy, so I really need to have I need Master Chief or Sora to get actually hyped about this stuff anymore.
I kind of thought it was a little cheesy. I'm not gonna lie, but
it's expected.
A character from ARMS, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that they're reaching into some of their newer franchises.
Yeah. Are there specific characters in ARMS, or are they just all Oh,
yeah,
really?
there's a whole roster. Yeah, it is in many ways it plays like a traditional fighter. It's just that between the motion control, if you so play with that, and the kind of long range fighting styles in there, it's very different from any fighter you'll play. But it's got that same design.
Well,
solid little game too.
I'm kind of with John on that. I would. Oh man, if we ever
I definitely recommend it.
That Master Chief or even Ori.
I just want them to make those. I want them to make those third-party connections. That's even though I'm never going to own Smash. I'm just not a Smash guy. I still cheer for those huge those crossovers. It's just fun for the industry.
Now this might offend Jeff. I've not played any of Super Smash Ultimate.
Oh, I haven't played a second.
Oh, I know that.
I haven't played a literal second.
If you knew John didn't, though.
Yeah,
I've already known that.
Yeah,
well, not for John, but
I haven't even played a Friends, or I've been to multiple different conventions, and I have not touched a second of that game.
It's just what it is.
Exactly. I respect it
because there's a part of me that's really wanted to, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like I'd be.
There's no part of me that has wanted to. It's just not for me. And it has nothing to do with the game. It's just that I've gotten in too late, and I've got a lot of friends who are very much like Jeff and are very big in Nintendo and have thousands of hours poured into Smash Brothers. And if I were to play, I would just get wrecked. So it's not even worth it.
Okay, so I don't have thousands. I do have hundreds, but
I think I have friends who have thousands. Not just this game.
I know. I'm sure.
I just mean Smash in general. I'm sure you may have 1,000 hours into Smash in general.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true because I've played every one since the original N64.
That's what I'm talking about.
Accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah.
Anything to say on Bravely Default 2?
It looked really cool.
Yeah, I love the games from the studio who makes the Bravely Default because they also did Octopath Traveler, I believe.
I thought they had to. That art style looked really similar.
Octopath is one of my favorite games from this generation. I adored that game. So when this was actually announced, which I believe was first at the Game Awards last year, I initially thought it was Octopath Traveler 2 or something like that. So I was really excited in that regard. I do like the Bravely games. I definitely prefer Octopath. I don't know if I'll jump into this, but for fans of the original 2 on the 3DS, this has got to be awesome because the game looks great. And it's just cool to see them continuing that.
I'm going to skip around our list here, guys, and I'll say if we want to come back to something that I skipped, we could do that.
Sure.
So we knew this one already, but it was good to kind of see it in action a little bit. Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is coming to Switch. That I played the original Xbox version of that. It was a Games with Gold last year, so you could play it on your Xbox One or Xbox One X. I had a lot of fun with that, and the game actually held up a lot better than I thought it would. Having never played through it the first time, I think that speaks even more volumes to it because I didn't have any kind of prerequisite or any sort of bias in my head towards the gameplay for it. So that's a game that I think, if you don't have it on Xbox, definitely get it on Switch. They also announced, and this one was not that I knew that, or we didn't know previously, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is going to be coming to Switch and PS4 actually as well. Over the past summer, I got Star Wars Racer Revenge from Limited Run Games. They did a re-release for PS4. So it's really cool that we see a lot of these old Lucasfilm games making comebacks and kind of being passed through the generations here as we go along. On that list, I mentioned that I started writing last week about games I'd love to see come to Switch. I'd love to see The Force Unleashed come to Switch. That's a game that is one of my favorite Star Wars games. I'd love to play it again. Panzer Dragoon remake. So Limited Run Games is doing this, and I think this is a timed exclusive for Switch because pre-orders go live tomorrow or today by the time you're probably seeing this. So on Friday, the 27th. That's not a game I played on the original Xbox.
Me either.
Did either of you? Okay.
It actually was first on Dreamcast, if I'm not... Oh, well, okay, let me rephrase that. It was originally on Sega Saturn, I think, actually, because Sega used to be the developer of it, developer and publisher. So I know there was one on Dreamcast. I think the very first one, though, was on Sega Saturn, which I'm pretty sure this remake is from that game. So you're talking about a remake of a game that's probably 24, 25 years old, maybe. I'd have to look up when Sega Saturn was around. I don't remember it.
That's good to see.
So it was on original Xbox 2001. You can get it on Game Pass right now, which is kind of interesting, but it's the original. This one's saying it's a remake. Do we know that it's actually been remade, like remastered?
No idea.
Or if they're just kind of like slapping that bow on there.
No, it looks like a remake because obviously the graphics are way better. I mean, those don't look like Sega Saturn graphics.
It's funny how, well, the Xbox One had updated graphics from that original release. But this was a pretty popular game, and that was one that I know people were clamoring for a remake for the longest time. So it's good to see that one make a comeback.
Yeah, they're cool games because like rail shooters, in the vein of like Star Fox and that, you don't see too many of them anymore, especially on home consoles. They don't warrant the resources and the budgets from other AAA kind of games.
And then lastly, at least for looking at the list for me here, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion. So, John, this is probably your arena.
Yeah, I mean, so
if you want to speak to this a little bit,
for sure. So, I mean, Jeff, you played a lot of Sword and Shield too, right?
Yep.
I think I was a little less hot on Sword and Shield than most people were, and it wasn't because of any of the stuff going around and people saying the game should have been this, should have been that. There was stuff missing. I just wasn't in the Pokemon mood when it came out. I crushed through the story. I liked it, and I liked it fine. I just never picked it back up, and that usually happens for me with Pokemon. But then all of a sudden, once I actually finish the game, I usually just get addicted to this loop of trying to finish the Pokedex and trying to catch this and that and go for shinies and stuff like that. That's what really pulls me into Pokemon. And for some reason, Pokemon Shield didn't do that to me. So I'm hoping this expansion will kind of fill that for me, and I can actually get my full enjoyment out of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I thought even just the trailers we saw. Was it E3? When did we first see these? Was it Game Awards? I forgot when it was. Or maybe it was just a direct.
It was just a direct. It wasn't E3 or the Game Awards.
Yeah, so just a direct. So when we first saw these, I thought that both regions that we're getting out of these 2 expansion passes looked more interesting than the entirety of the main game. So I'm excited. We saw a little bit more about it. The new legendary. What's his name, Jeff? I forgot.
I can't remember the base Pokemon's name, but the evolution is Urshifu.
Urshifu. So yeah, that looks super cool. It's a cool idea that you just have him and you have to pick one to battle with, and that looks like it affects your type too. So that's a really cool idea. They're trying new stuff. I'm all in.
Yeah, it's based on like there's 2 like basically trial towers. One is
water,
if you go, the other's darkness.
Yep.
So he can take on basically either type. I love his design. I think Urshifu looks really cool. I had shield as well. I loved it. Yeah. I love the Galar region. I love the geography of the region, and I love the whole setting where all of like the gym battles felt like spectator sports. Like you were in these giant arenas with rowdy crowds. Obviously everything was taking inspiration from like the British Isles and that culture over there. But I really, really like the story and everything. I like the different cities, the different like towns you could visit. I didn't like too many of the brand new Pokemon, like the Gen 8 Pokemon that were introduced in there. But hey, I like Inteleon. I like Boltund. So there were enough that I enjoyed and was
we seem like we're kind of direct opposites on what we did like and didn't like about that game. I loved, well, you said this too, but I love the cities. I forgot what the one was called, but that was like all like glow in the dark and neon. There was like a forest like that, and there was a city like that. Super, super cool.
Yeah.
And I thought all the cities themselves were really cool. I just did not think the wild area was very, very interesting. It was just an open field of grass and some water. I just thought it was pretty uninspired. And then I also really did not like the gym battles. I did not like that everyone felt exactly the same. I like how each city in previous games had very, very specifically themed gyms. That was always super fun to me. And in this one, it just felt like there was the same arena for every battle.
Well, okay, well, yeah, that's only for the battle, though. Like, the lead up to each battle was a completely unique challenge based on the element.
For sure. It's just something about that climax that I'm just like, I'm fighting the same battle and the same situation. Again, just me. That game sold more than any Pokemon game in history.
Right. No, and I mean, I was hyped as all hell when I beat the champion at like the end of the story. That was the most fun I've had playing Pokemon in years, maybe my entire life.
It was a like it, didn't love it situation, but again, that's not over because this DLC is coming, and I think that's going to be my hook that actually gets me to do what I usually do and put my hundreds of hours into it instead of dozens.
That's saying a lot. That
for sure.
DLC will hook you like that. Anything on the list that I passed over that you guys wanted to talk about?
Let me peruse that real quick.
And then think about just for a second as we get to wrapping things up here, just what was your one moment, your one takeaway from the day?
Oh, what do you call it? Ninjala looks really interesting. I mean, it's obviously a Splatoon knockoff.
Oh, that was very interesting. I thought we were looking at Splatoon DLC for a while.
Right.
Oh, it's too.
Like, I mean, it's like almost shameless in how much it's, not copying, but really kind of taking inspiration from Splatoon. It is free to play. And I mean, it does look impressive. Like, I mean, obviously the imagination and creativity is not there, but like on a technical level, the game looks well made.
Yeah, looks cool.
It looks very similar to Splatoon. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think if we're at a scale between inspired by and copied, it's leaning closer to that copied side.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anything else on the list?
I think we got the good stuff.
Yeah.
I think so. So that's pretty good. We talked about just about everything here.
Yeah.
As we're wrapping up here, this episode of Geeks Got Game, whoever wants to go first, what was your favorite moment or your takeaway from this, if you could choose one? I've got an answer, so I'll go first.
Yep.
Mine is the 2K games. Love that we are going to get Borderlands on there. Love that we're going to see Bioshock on the Switch. It's something I've been dreaming about for years. It's funny. I always have like this happy place. Every summer we go to, my family rents this place out in Sunset Bay, New York. And we're on the beach there. It's just a wonderful kind of nice 1 week getaway. Anyway, I've always got my Switch there. And I always want to play whatever I'm playing there. And the last 2 summers I've been playing Breath of the Wild there. I'll probably play it again this summer there, seeing that I'm not very far in the game.
Yeah, you got some work to do there.
It's because I only play it there apparently. But I would love to play a game like Bioshock as I'm there. I think that would be super thrilling. That was it for me.
Cool. That was I was gonna say that as well, but I'll go with the Pokemon because I really am excited to dive back into that game. I feel like I didn't give it a fair shake, given all I said. I just fell off a little earlier than I usually do. So the DLC looks awesome. So I am super excited to get back into that world, and I'm glad that they're doing it this way instead of releasing a new game with all the same stuff plus a little extra and charging $60 again. That's been the model for a while. Nintendo's finally embracing DLC, and yeah, excited about it.
So this is kind of a testament to how little of the Direct grabbed me, but I think the thing that I'm most interested in from here is Clubhouse games.
Oh,
because the original on the original DS, original DS, it was a really solid mini game collection, and this is basically just a bigger, better version of that. And I'm really hoping that some semblance of normal life returns to America by June 5th. But if by some chance it doesn't, this would be a perfect thing to play online with people.
Yeah. I will say the selection of games didn't really grab me. I was hoping for a couple more games that were up my alley, but it's always cool to have those mini game compilations.
So 51 games they said, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there at the beginning, and it's like first few games, and I'm like, okay, whatever, this is ridiculous. Oh, checkers, that's cool. Okay, and then my my opinion of it changed very quickly as we got to like the midway point. I'm like, oh my gosh, 30. 40, and it just kept going, and I was all about it. And I'm like, this looks like fun.
Yeah, hey man, there's
right?
Yeah, there is air hockey. There's like some kind of like table soccer.
Yeah.
There's like the tank mini games look fun.
Yeah,
it's not fair. I'm an easy sucker for air hockey, so I was like, oh great, I could put my Switch on the table and I can play with my finger with somebody.
It looked like really bare bones air hockey. Like you can probably find a better version on your iPhone, is what my assumption is. But hey, we're gonna have it. I'm good.
Hey, I liked it. I'm happy you said that, Pavlok. So, last thought here. This is not related to today's Direct, but I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Tom actually texted me and said, have you heard of a game called Moving Out?
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with Moving Out. Yeah.
So, coming out in a month, I think. And the demo just released this week on the Switch.
That's the game. It's it's basically Overcooked meets moving, right?
It's from the makers of Overcooked.
Yeah.
Team 17.
Yeah.
If you're listening and watching, you know my affinity for Overcooked. I adore that game. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite couch co-op games ever. So this is pretty much that, and it's super self-aware. So the tutorial is basically like an old school video on how to move things and how it's okay to like break things while moving and how you should like really lift with your back and hurt yourself. And the voice is basically like the voice I chose to narrate the quarantine video that we just released. So I was sitting there looking at my Switch like, yeah, this is awesome.
Cool.
I can't wait.
So
it's only going to be $19.99.
There's a demo out now?
Demo's out now.
Cool. I'm gonna
there's a tutorial. Yeah, tutorial and then 3 other levels of varying degrees of difficulty.
Cool.
So, can't wait. That'll be coming out in, I think, April 23rd, it said.
Sweet.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Geeks Got Game. Of course, you can watch it at youtube.com/The Geekiverse, our website right at thegeekiverse.com, or listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back very shortly to talk more in the coming weeks about video games here, particularly what we've got on details for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and how those compare and contrast. So for Jeff and John, I'm Josiah. We'll catch you all very soon.